Welcome back to the Fulton County Gospel News Podcast. My name is Barry Odell, and I am your host. Fulton County Gospel News is a bi-monthly publication of the Church of Christ in Mammoth Spring, Arkansas. And if you'd like to learn more about our paper, visit our website, mammothspringchurchofchrist.com, and you can find all the necessary information there. You can subscribe to the paper. It's always free of charge. You can get it as a PDF through your email, or you can receive a hard copy through the United States Postal Service. All of our contact information is on the website. Get a hold of us, and we'll be happy to help you in any way that you wish. Also, check us out on Facebook, Church of Christ at Mammoth Spring. Like and follow that page. And also, if you've not yet become a follower of our podcast, go to podbean.com on your computer, or check out the Podbean app on your Apple or Android device, and follow Fulton County Gospel News. Today, I want to read an article to you from the February 1989 edition of Fulton County Gospel News. It's an anonymous article, but the title is Young Mothers, Babies, and Worship. I ran across this article today as I was looking at various things, and I thought about Mammoth Spring here. We're blessed with a lot of infants and toddlers and young couples in their 20s and 30s with babies, and sometimes things that young mothers struggle with. I know personally for me as a preacher, I can recall times when my wife was sitting alone in the pew having to watch one child and then two children as I was sitting up front or as I was preaching, and at times it was frustrating and difficult for her in dealing with babies and worship. But I really like this article, and I think it has some good points. So here we go. Young mothers, babies, and worship. Young mothers with small children sometimes feel that they aren't able to really worship God. Just about the time they have focused their mind on the words of some song and begin to feel inspired, the 19-month of age hits his head against the pew, the cries are louder than the singing, or you are just about to get into the sermon with understanding when the 3-year-old needs to go to the bathroom. Everyone around seems not to understand that they too once had babies. The different ways your concentration can be distracted are endless. Sometimes you feel there is no real purpose in church service while trying to manage them. About now you think, why not keep them at home, so that your children and others in the service will be a lot happier? Young mother, your feelings are perfectly understandable. You do have a problem, but do not be discouraged. Your children and their problem are a golden opportunity. You as a young parent have within your power, if you deal wisely with the problem, to accomplish some great and wonderful objectives. First, to implant in your children the habit of attending church. This allows them to learn about God as they grow up. This early training may very well mean the difference between their becoming faithful Christians or going the way of the world. Second, you may not be learning much from the sermons, but you can understand that you are learning for yourself great practical lessons in patience, self-control, self-denial, perseverance, discipline, and obedience to God. Third, you are teaching others. By your faithful attendance and courageous tackling of your problems with your children, you are setting a wonderful example to the rest of the congregation. Such an example is a priceless asset to any congregation. It is more powerful in influencing the lives of others than many sermons from pulpits. A church cannot have too many young mothers of this caliber. We need and want them all. So young parents, don't be discouraged. Keep coming. Bring your babies. Remember that most of us have been through the same experience with babies, and we understand your problems. We admire your courage in continually coming. We want your fellowship in worship. We need your help in teaching the church. So bring your babies on to worship. So this, again, is a very short article, and again, it's anonymous. I don't know who wrote it, but it touches on something that I see now on a regular basis, again, being here at Mammoth with what we're experiencing here with so many young couples and infants and toddlers. And I understand, it can be discouraging, it can be difficult and challenging, and I guess you could also use the word outright frustrating, to have to get up, take the child out, go to the restroom, the child's hungry, the child needs a diaper change, whatever the case may be. But you are doing God's will. You're doing what God wants you to do. You're helping to bring your child up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. You know, I might also say to those who are sitting around those with young babies or young children, when something happens, when a noise is made, don't stare at the parents. They know. They hear it. They know there's some type of distraction. They know there's something going on. Don't talk about them. Don't go up to them after services and say something like, "Boy, your baby sure made a lot of noise today." That's discouraging. They're very much aware that their child made noise during services. They don't need our commentary, if you will. They get it. Most of the time, too, they're embarrassed about it. One thing I've tried to do is when something like that happens during the service, again, the parents are very much aware of the noise. They're very much aware of the distraction. So as I'm standing in the back of the auditorium and greeting people as they're leaving, and that young couple walks by, I say, "Listen, guys, don't worry about it. That child is not a distraction. You just keep doing what you're doing." Try to encourage them. A church without crying babies and small children who make noise is a dying church, and sadly we have a lot of those in our world, and we don't want to distract, or rather we don't want to discourage young parents with young children from coming to the services for fear of being a distraction. Let's do all that we can to help and to encourage those young couples without being, I'm not crazy about the word judgmental, but without being harsh and critical. Maybe that's a better word, critical, in what they're doing or not doing. I remember, for me personally, I tried out at a congregation. I actually ended up preaching there in Pensacola, Florida. We tried out there. The kids were very young at that point in time. I think our daughter was 2 or just a little over 2 or 3 maybe. I think it was actually 3. And so our son would have been around 1. And one of the members of the congregation, we never knew who it was, and frankly that doesn't matter, but after our tryout, one of the members of the congregation there went to the eldership and said that my wife needed to lighten up a little bit, that she was just too concerned with the children and keeping them still and quiet. Now listen, you don't want to let your children run crazy and just misbehave and be an obvious and uncontrolled distraction. That's one thing. But when a child is being a child, and when there is noise and there is crying and things like that, that's going to happen. And again, parents don't need our observations and criticism, and maybe we can do it a little bit better than they can. They don't need that. That's going to discourage them, so let's not do that. Again, a church without babies and infants and toddlers and young couples, sadly, is a dying church and a dying congregation, and we don't want to contribute to that in any way by discouraging these young couples. So anyway, I appreciate you tuning in today to the Fulton County Gospel News Podcast. Again, if you'd like our paper, visit our website, MammothSpringChurchOfChrist.com. Get a hold of us and let us know what you'd like to do. If you want to subscribe to our Podbean channel, podbean.com, and go to search for Fulton County Gospel News and become a follower. Thanks again for listening today, and I will catch you on the next episode of the Fulton County Gospel News Podcast.